Today's video is how to change for good. And I mean that in both senses of the word, for the long term and also for a positive effect in the world. So the first thing that I really want to bring your attention to is this idea: don't be seduced by a false simplicity. The one thing you got to do, or the one thing you got to focus on, the only thing that you need to do in order to make a change stick in your life, and that's just not the way it is. There's a lot of elements to it. At the same time, I don't want you to be overwhelmed because it is finite. It's just not always simple, and it's not just one thing. So this is long term. So this is basically how are you going to take one thing in your life? So it's always best to start with one thing. So if you don't already have one thing in your mind, think of one thing. Maybe stop the video and think of one thing that you want to change. First thing is keep it small. So in Japan, they talk about it as the Kaizen principle, is when they're trying to change a company, they change super tiny things, and then the cumulative effect is huge. James Clear popularized the idea in the book Atomic Habits. Again, just keep it super small and repeat it over and over again. And that's way better than going for a big goal. Because when you're going for a big goal, then a lot of times you're going to overshoot, you're going to fail, and then not restart. The second point I want to bring you to about changing habits, especially if you're trying to change a bad habit, is this idea from Judson Brewer's a TED Talk on mindfulness. And what he showed in his work is that if you just pause, let's say you want to quit smoking, and instead of telling someone to stop smoking, you just have them stop and pay attention to what's happening. They notice the bad smell, and the bad taste, the chemicals. And it's that slowing down and paying attention to what's happening. The idea is being more curious about what's happening in your body will actually give you a self-reinforced motivation to change, to make change. That's specifically about letting go of bad habits and then adopting good, healthy ones that are going to make you feel good in your body. And basically everything that you want to do in your life is going to make you feel good in your body. So mindfulness is a great way. Being curious about how all your activities affect your body and affect your mind and how they're interacting with one another actually naturally has you change to better habits that are going to help you get what you want in the long run. Identity and emotion. So I'm referring to Annie Grace in this one. I specifically quit drinking about 9 months ago. I was struggling with my health, and I was really struggling quitting drinking. Actually, I didn't want to quit drinking for many years. I wanted to be a drinker who knew how to control his drinking. And after reading her book, which was, I think it's called The Naked Mind, she lays out a case for how great it is to be a non-drinker, and how just all these ideas that make being a non-drinker feel really good. So I actually changed my own personal identity and my emotional relationship to alcohol so that I don't desire to be the drinker anymore. I always sort of saw myself as the happy, fun drinker, and I changed that through reading her work. But the point is that I'm trying to make is that if you can work on your identity, like let's say you think of yourself as a smoker, you think of yourself as a drinker, you think of yourself as a late riser, whatever the habit is, whatever the goal is that you're trying to pursue, try to change that identity. And you can change that identity by what kind of material you bring in, what kind of ideas you let in your mind, what kind of people you follow. Right here, this idea, value effort over talent. It's also related to willpower. If you believe that you can rely on willpower, you're most likely to fail. If you don't believe that you can rely on your willpower and you set up structures that help compensate for when you're not feeling willpower, then you're more likely to succeed. The psychological term is a sophisticate, is someone who believes that willpower isn't reliable, and a naive is someone who believes that willpower will take them through to the end. So value your effort over your talent or your willpower. Roles are another way that you can create structures to align you with your goal. Again, back to quitting drinking or quitting smoking. If you become a mentor, there's a reason that there are mentors in Alcoholics Anonymous, that you have sponsors and sponsees. The sponsors get probably actually more out of it than the sponsees. So teach people growth mindset. So that is the idea popularized by Carol Dweck in her book Mindset. And the basic idea is you've got to believe that you are not fixed, that you are constantly changing and evolving. So we are, with our daughter, we're constantly telling her, wow, you're really getting better. You're changing and growing all the time. It's really great how you're drawing better today. So we're trying to instill in her an idea in her own head that she's always growing. A little deeper on this idea of effort over talent, in the book Grit by Angela Duckworth. When I was young, when I was growing up, people always told me that I was talented, that I was smart, that I'd be good at things that I did. And it was really harmful. It really made it so that I quit a lot. I tried, 20 different careers, 20 different musical instruments, and I quit all the time because people were always telling me how talented I was. And so I had to learn the hard way many, many years later that not to think of myself as talented, but more to think of myself as somebody who was good at putting forth effort. And so now, anytime I think that I may have a natural talent or somebody tells me that I have a natural talent, no, I'm just putting forth the effort and I'm getting better as I go. So it's critical that you adopt wherever you want to grow, wherever you want to change, wherever you want to become more of something, that you let go of any idea of natural talent. Just put it away. You don't need to even have it all. Just focus on being someone who puts forth the effort. This last one that I put, know yourself, that is, I think, just a good reminder that all this stuff is a process, and that knowing yourself, to thine own self be true, that knowing yourself, you're never gonna fully know who you are. And you have to be okay with that. And also enjoy the process of discovering new parts about yourself. And that as you begin to discover more and more about yourself, you get better at all this other stuff. And don't fixate on all these little things that are your likes or your talents or your weaknesses. Like, they're all fluid. You gotta believe that. So you gotta make the leap, however you're gonna make the leap, that you are a fluid being. You're not rigid. There's this core part of you that is solid, but we overestimate that, and we spread that out into areas where it doesn't belong. One of the things that we underestimate is the power of fresh starts. So New Year's resolutions. People are down on New Year's resolutions. Well, statistically, more people do better with new changes when they're at times in their life that are fresh starts. So if New Year's is a fresh start in your own mind, then that's a good time for you. But it has to be real for you. So for example, if you get a new job, or if you move to a new house, or if you have a child, or any big event in your life, that's a fresh start. And that's a great time to try to take on a new behavior, a new goal, a new activity. So bundle temptations. So in my morning routine, I get up in the morning, I sit on my exercise bike, I make my tea, and then before I touch my caffeinated tea, I love my caffeinated tea in the morning, I have to have my exercise bike, my butt on my exercise bike and my wheels pedaling. So what I've done is I've bundled my vice of caffeine, I love my caffeine, to my virtue of riding the exercise bike in the morning. So I have a men's group, and in that men's group, one of my support structures, we make goals every couple of weeks. We make goals that are important to us. So I make a goal that's important to me. And it's my self-imposed goal that I make on myself with consequences. So for example, if I don't come back to my men's group having done the goals that I imposed upon myself, then everybody else in the room has to pay $1. So self-imposed consequences and restrictions. The key about this is that it has to be self-imposed. Somebody else can't impose them upon you or they won't work. Next is, goes back to what I was talking about before, but believe that willpower is limited. So that's just a clarification of that idea. If you believe you can rely on willpower, you are more likely to fail. So compensate for the lack of willpower that's coming. Use timely cues when you're worried about forgetting to do stuff. So for example, when X happens, I'll do Y. So when I get up in the morning, or when I go to grab my coffee, I sit down on my exercise bike. So that's how that works. It really works, but you gotta have it tied to the time and the place that you're doing the activity. Let's say you wanna write a book, and you're trying to figure out, well, hey Mike, how does this apply, these cues, when I'm trying to write a book? Well, you have to break it up. You got to break up the book into teeny tiny chunks, and then each chunk you tie it to a daily activity. You tie it to a cue. Piggyback new habits on old habits. So that's the similar idea. These cues, when you're doing this, it's also really good to piggyback them on other habits. So that's what I do with the exercise bike. So the next idea is to set your life defaults wisely. So you've got a default of, what size plate is in your cabinet, which is going to kind of help determine how much food you eat. You have a default of where your homepage on your phone comes up to. You have a default of where your computer homepage comes to. So you want to reorient those defaults in directions that are going to help you accomplish the thing that you're trying to change. So for me, for example, I'm trying to focus more attention on making the videos, doing my teaching work. So I now have my computer defaults set to my video training, to my video support group, and to other video things that I'm trying to do, rather than being sucked into some interesting news stories on the side or some social media thing. In the book, Katie Millman and How to Change, she talks about how in a hospital, doctors were over-prescribing non-generic medicines, and all they did, nobody could figure out how it all changed. Like, it dropped by over 90%, and they couldn't, for years they were struggling with it, and all that happened was one programmer added a button to their prescription program which said, it's always going to go to generics unless you click this button. And so all the doctors were just like, they didn't press the button. And so then it always went to generics. So the default really matters. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What's the first thing that's in front of you? So that first thing is something that's going to promote what you're trying to do. Include emergency passes inside your goals. So for example, when I set my goals to do something new in my men's group, I'll oftentimes include a clause that says, if I don't, let's say I want to go and ride my bike out, I want to take 5 rides this week out in nature. If I set that goal and then I say, and if I miss one, I'll call you. Or if I have an emergency, it's okay. I can do it, 5 minus 1 if I need to. And in that way, you're keeping your momentum up. So if you're starting a streak and then you break it, but in your mind, it's like a psychological, I blew it, then you bail out. So, but if it's in your mind and you set it up as in your perception that keeping the commitment includes one off day, then you keep the momentum going. So there's so much about momentum. Momentum is critical. Momentum is so much of creating change. So build confidence by teaching. If we give advice to others, those other people might actually, if we're telling them like, hey, this is how you have to change. This is how you've got to get better at making goals in your life. So you may be listening to this and your confidence may be dropping. And so what to do is to actually teach others. Because when you teach others how to do this kind of stuff, then your confidence comes up. And at the same time, you also feel kind of like a hypocrite if you don't start doing that stuff. So teach others what you're trying to do. Mentor others, be a support for others, and that will help you achieve changing in the way that you want to change. The positive peer pressure, this is, in my mind, one of the most important ideas. So positive peer pressure, surround yourself with people who are just ahead of where you want to be. Surround yourself with people who emulate, I have a friend of mine, and he rides his bike 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, every week. And he goes on these incredibly difficult rides. And so I am emulating him and hanging around him as much as I can so that I get that good cardiovascular workout, which is something that I'm committed to. So use that positive peer pressure. Surround yourself with people that are embodying the change that you're trying to create in your life. And on the flip side of that, don't be afraid to limit your time with people who are not aligned with that. That's where so many people get screwed up. Don't be a nice person and just surround yourself with people that are going in the opposite direction. Love them, give them attention at appropriate times, but remove a lot of your energy and attention and put it in the direction that you want to go. I truly believe that every one of us has a unique gift to life on earth, to nature, to make this world a better place. If you are surrounding yourself with people who are not going anywhere, and you're feeling the call to rise up and do something, you're taking that away from the world. And the world needs you to surround yourself with good people so you can do the good work that you want to do in the world. So don't be afraid to move on from people that are no longer aligned with where you are. It's perfect, it's good. It's not a selfish thing. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I think a lot of us think it's selfish and it's mean to move on from people that are, not going the direction we want to go. But, don't rely on your willpower to help you stay up on to help you get somewhere. Rely on your peer group. Rely on the people around you. I'm not saying to divorce everybody who's not achieved what you've achieved, but I'm saying selectively put more attention into those people that are going to help you raise yourself in the area that you want to change. Let some people go. It's hard, but sometimes that's what's needed. This is good. So don't fixate on one solution or one style. If you're failing and it's not working for you, then you gotta let go of whatever it is that you've been trying to do and try to do it in a new way. So maybe you're totally fixated on that. The only way you can get in shape is by going to the gym. Well, maybe you need to do a home workout. Maybe you hate home workouts, and you were never going to consider that. Allow yourself to experiment with different styles of fixing the solution. Don't think that just because you're trying to do it and you keep failing that you don't have willpower. It may be that you're trying a technique that's not working for you. The basic idea is that every time you fail, you've got to develop an emotional resilience. And that it just takes repetition, like, oh, I failed again. Oh, I failed again. Oh, I failed again. Oh, I failed. What did I learn from that? How can I do it better next time? It's like, yes, I failed and I learned this, and then next time, oh, I failed again. Great, what did I learn? I failed again. Great, what did I learn? And that's the whole thing. So this is my next thing here. Read the feedback. So fail, feedback, adjust, repeat. Fail, feedback, adjust, repeat. Just keep doing that over and over again. If you're trying to start a new habit and it's not working, well then just do it, adjust. What did you see? What was different? Adjust, repeat, and get support. You gotta get support. Last but not least, I want to talk about the good part. It's easier to change when you're not focused on yourself, when you're focused on something bigger than yourself, your purpose. My purpose in life is to try to help others heal our relationship with nature so that everyone who loves nature can be more effective. So focus on others. That's pretty simple, but if you're trying to lose weight, it may seem weird to say you're focusing on others. Well, if you're losing weight and you're focused on the benefit that you can give to others, then that's going to make it easier for you to lose weight. Secondly, your unique gifts matched to the world's needs. Don't compete, complement. So there's so much in our culture about like competition, and competition is fine. I love competition. I love sports. I love doing competition myself. But when you're trying to change, when you're trying to change your behavior, when you're trying to make something in yourself better, it's better to focus on how you complement the world around you, how you complement the people around you, and to integrate yourself into them. Think of your whole world as an ecosystem, and you're one species or one individual in that ecosystem, and then bring more of yourself to that ecosystem. So that goes back to knowing yourself better too. Keep learning more of who you are and what your unique talents are, and keep giving those to the world around you. And by giving those unique talents that are more yourself, then you will be naturally drawn to change in positive ways that you want to change anyways. So think about the big picture. You've also got to think of the big picture, and you've got to do tiny things. So there's kind of a paradox there. You've got to be focusing on the little, doing the dishes or cleaning your desk or putting away the tools, but thinking about the big picture. How is this little thing, I really struggle with this, but I know that this is very important, that this works. When I'm organizing my tools and when I'm putting things together and when I'm researching what I'm doing here, the little tiny things, or think about how I'm doing my little tiny act to make the world a little bit better place. And that keeps the momentum going if I keep it focused on the big picture. Help those in need. So I think the key here is need. If I just focus on a need. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help you learn all of the tools that I've learned over the years that'll help you change something that you're trying to change. So you're trying to establish a new habit, you're trying to start a new career, you're trying to save more money. Whatever you're trying to do, I'm trying to help you solve that problem. So focus on the needs outside yourself, and then yourself will become better in the process. You'll change in the way that you want to change in the process. And then I've already spoken to this one, but teach what you want to learn. So I want to learn how to change myself. So I'm trying to teach it more to you. Do that. Whatever it is that you're trying to change, teach other people how to do that, and you'll get better at it too. Thank you very much for watching. Hit that notification button if you've got value out of this. Hit subscribe, comment below. Please ask me questions. I'd love to do a follow-up on anything that wasn't clear here today. I really appreciate you hanging out all the way to the end. I know that was a lot. Go out, you can do it. Don't quit. Review the material if you need to. Thanks. Have a great day.